think it's time to gather back in the arena. We have a quick announcement, and then we have one last presentation. So can I ask everyone to come back to the arena and take a seat? Hard to get everybody back. Hi, Thomas. Hi. Hi, how are you? Hi. Let me give him a minute. So I hear the bell. All the cows have to come home. No, it's like on a farm. Or it's like the dinner bell. Oh. So come on in and take a seat. Yeah. No, everyone's getting tired, but we're staying pretty much on time, and we have just one more presentation, and then after that we'll wrap things up, and we'll have a nice steak dinner to look forward to at the Kapital vom Rind. No, everybody's salivating already over that. So, yeah, the Hauptstadt Kapital vom Rind is this. KVR. It's not the Kreisverwaltungsreferat. So, okay. All right, I think most people are back in their seats. So I'll hand the mic over to Martin. He would like to make a quick announcement. Yeah.
So I just want to pick up a thought still remaining in the top of my head from the last open space session regarding ABAP on SCP. So in my opinion, the discussion was more like, do we data exchange using CSV or XML? So I think instead of thinking about, is this good or not so good, I think we should have a look at it once it is available. And the other thing is, which is more important, that we build the right applications with the tools we have. Whether it is ABAP or Java or JavaScript, that's completely unimportant. If we meet the requirement and we know what we're doing and we're doing it right, then it's completely, let's say, sufficient to do in ABAP or in Java or whatever. So, and what we saw today is, especially with the talk from Christian, that the things are getting more and more complex. So what we're doing is we're tackling complexity with complexity. So it's simply the case. So if you look at the last slide, so with all these errors and so on, we need to know what we're doing, and this is why I'm on the opinion that we need to improve our architectural skills. And I'm a member of the ISAQB, which is a non-profit organization which takes care for standardization of software architecture. So what does a software architect need to know? And also does certification for vendors for, let's say, lessons you can attend. And in the meanwhile, in the German-speaking area, there are around 10,000 people who did the certification program. And there are some pencils and some flyers. Maybe you can have a look at it. So as I said, it's a non-profit organization. Just have a look what it is. And we're also sponsoring with our meetup, let's say, budget, which is very small, but we are sponsoring the Feierabend beer today. So this is, let's say, a nice gift, I would say. The second thing is I want to ask is if you are from Munich and if you have some time. The SAP community in Munich has about 500 members, so it's a quite big one. But it's depending on us, so it's depending on Andrea, Gregor, Damir, me, Mario, and it's a very small group of guys who spent their time in organizing that and pushing that forward. And unfortunately, we were all under pressure this year, and we did not really bring that forward as we wanted to. So we would kindly ask for support. So if somebody is around who wants to help us, so everybody's invited, and so this is a call to you. Maybe you can support us here as well. So this would be a great help, and also for the SAP community here in Munich. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Yeah. So Thomas Grassel is here with us this evening. He told me to keep his introduction short and sweet. He heads SAP's external developer program. And because he's based in Munich, he has absolutely no excuse not to attend the SID book. So he's here, and I'll hand the stage over to him. And I hope everybody takes a shot of this great photo here and tweets it. That's really cool.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks for having me. I wanted to say first, and I also want to say a big thanks from SAP to the Munich chapter, or I don't know, like from the community. It's always amazing for me and my colleagues to see what the SAP Inside Tracks is putting together. It's growing, and it's great to, I'm here now the second time, and it's great to see like such a full room at this late hour on a weekend, on a Saturday. This picture you hopefully have like seen the video. Who has seen the Las Vegas keynote? Partly, okay, yeah, you have a job to do. So this is like, I definitely have a like, it's an hour and a half, take the time. It's entertaining, it's not too heavy, like it's, and you get lots of like different information about TechEd and what happened and what's coming from the SAP side. And what I did today, I picked a few highlights where I felt like, okay, they are relevant for developers. What was, of course, definitely deeper discussed in TechEd in Las Vegas, and walk you through this. Before I start, because I said I just came back from Vegas, I brought, of course, a few goodies with me. So let's start here. And please pass it around and take one piece out of it, like whatever you like. And I give it to the back. No Bitcoins. There's some good stuff in, some smaller stuff, so have fun. Because like otherwise I'm getting in trouble because the stuff is starting to collect and my wife is like, okay, you need to get rid of these boxes here. Okay, so Vegas, you definitely have to see the show. And as I said, I wanted to give you a little bit of insight into what was presented, what are the highlights, and also a little bit like a comment on it. But also feel free, like raise your arm, and it's very interactive. If you have any questions, we can go deeper anytime. So this preview is definitely like for the developers. So I took more the technical stuff into where I felt like, okay, that's interesting. But I also must say, I have the disclaimer in Star Trek style. It's not all of the stuff where I have like the 100% guarantee that this will be like in the future there. So keep it a little bit with a grain of salt. So let's start with a few highlights. And I think one topic which was definitely discussed in a lot of sessions in Vegas, Björn had a few highlights of them included in the keynote. And that's about SAP HANA. I think the biggest thing which was like between Sapphire and TechEd was the HANA 2.0 SPS 02 announcement and release. And now at TechEd, like we came out like with the more details. Like you could have read it up and downloaded it earlier, but I felt like not a lot of like people really understood what was coming with SPS. HANA 2 SPS 2. So definitely from a thing where HANA is going is like you saw this like with the XSC that we announced is deprecated. Now it's fully XSA. That keeps my evangelists on the HANA side very busy right now because we have to take all the old XSC and move it over to XSA. It's definitely, I also know for the community and for the developers, a big shift to do this. But the thing what I see now after the 3 months, it was announced in August, we see already like people are like, okay, now I get it. Like I really see the advantages from XSA and doing something. The other thing is like it's definitely like where HANA is, and that's not a news, it's like really like what we focus on with HANA to get further across is all the data capabilities. And so there is the extension now into the machine learning with ELM. So you can really now take TensorFlow and run machine learning against the data you have in HANA. So you have this extension capabilities. And there's also like a lot of like details in graph and spatial, which now we are trying to get like out to the developers. And there will be a bigger update from our side in the learning around this in the next quarter. So a lot of like things where we better want to highlight how do you use all the things. And if you're interested in graph and spatial, one guy to follow is Vitaly Rudnicki. He's on my team. He's an evangelist. Like he really does these cool tweets and cool blogs around how to use this. And he just told me that he's doing much more around this in the near future. The other thing is like with HANA, like with HANA Express, that was announced a year ago. And initially we thought like, okay, we had some internal bets, like how often we get a download on HANA Express. And we were surprised how fast the community of developers picked up HANA Express. We are now at we're over 50,000 downloads in the first year. These are unique downloads. I'm not counting someone who downloaded in October and downloaded in March again. These are unique people where we know they are working with HANA Express. The thing is like really the main mission for us on HANA Express is to get it to every developer out there. And we see a lot of different use cases. So definitely there's the big use case where the customer has already HANA somewhere installed. And then the administrators, they're going gung-ho about HANA Express because they can try it out right away and it's on their system, it's on their computer. You can crash it, whatever you want to do. And the same thing, what we see now, and this is also like something we want to drill down a little bit deeper, is into how development teams for HANA can use HANA Express as a development environment. So because like for a lot of like folks who have a HANA system that's like probably like a 2 whatever terabyte system, the pure developer is not getting access to that thing. So a lot of like things, and we're working with customers how they're building this up. So it's also like a lot of things which we did not expect from a use case that developers would use HANA Express like this. The other thing is, of course, also what we're driving is of course to get the functionality better understood in the non-SAP community. Like definitely like the big thing like on HANA is like you could not avoid HANA when you were an SAP developer or a partner or a customer. But we're definitely pushing a lot to get HANA further out to other development groups or communities out there. So one thing what we're doing is definitely to get it more available. And that's why you see, okay, we came out in for Sapphire with HANA Express on the Google Cloud Platform. Well, actually, there was Google Next. That's when we came out. But in the meantime, we also added XSA. So initially, it was only the server on the Google Cloud Platform. Now XSA is in there. Huawei Cloud, that came in September. And at TechEd, we announced availability on Azure and also on Docker Store. So now it's really like we're pushing it where we can to get it into the different things like cloud providers and containers to have developers to access HANA. The other thing is like, and this is like, it's picking up a lot. Like it took a while initially like to get developers in these communities to look at HANA. The big thing what we see is of course the cost. And like also you can scale it up with HANA Express. So you can start with the free edition and like you can also scale it down. You don't need to take 32 gig if you really want to try it out and just do the server. You can do a 6 gig instance on AWS or on Azure and get started, and then you grow. The other thing is with HANA Express, what we added is also now a commercial version, like it's free up to 32 gig, so you can use it. Doesn't cost you anything, maybe the cloud hosting fees, but like you can also now buy it for 64, 92, and 128 from SAP. And you can, with the 32, I forgot that, with the 32 you can be productive. So, but then like if you need more memory, you can grow it up. And that's where we're now seeing like the interest. Like people are starting with a small implementation and they're really like, okay, now I need more memory, or like I'm convincing my internal company like to do this project on HANA, and that's where we see the pickup. The other thing is interesting, we're also featuring more and more HANA in non-pure SAP environments. So now you will probably ask, like, why is SAP doing this? Have a cloud platform. But the reality is, like, developers pick whatever they want. Like, if you are a developer and you have worked, for example, with Kinesis and Lambda on AWS, you might do this. So we actually did this because we're working also a lot with our partners like AWS, Microsoft, Google on these different scenarios. And for TechEd, we said to all of these three partners, let's do something together. So we said, okay, here's an evangelist from SAP, there's an evangelist from AWS, one from Google, one from SAP. So we buddied them up and we challenged, okay, what can they come up? This scenario we showcased with AWS was done in 6 hours. It's basically what we simulated was 1,000 airplanes flying in random connections throughout the world. And they send every second an update where they are, longitude, like where they are with the data. That's pushed into Kinesis. And we have a Lambda microservice, which updates it into HANA. That's through 200 updates per second. And that's, I think they use the 8 gig HANA environment, like it's a small one. And then like basically to read it out, we used again like a Lambda microservice, API gateway, and then displayed it on the map. The whole environment, that's of course what AWS is advertising. It's $6 a day to use HANA. It's pretty cheap, I would say. And like you have like also different ways of scaling. Like this thing, you can pretty much like scale, like so if you get more IoT like data in, you basically scale this up with Lambda. So what we're currently now working, I'm not sure if we get it done by Bangalore, but maybe by Barcelona, is also like the scaling on the HANA side. So that's what we're looking, and like more ideas what we're building up with these partners. But it's like just ideas what we're also seeing now from the developer community coming back, how to use HANA, and definitely also interested to hear from you what other ideas you have. So let me speed up a little bit, because we either want to go home or have a dinner. Cloud platform updates. So it was already announced, or I think someone mentioned it before, cloud platform. Now the Cloud Foundry part is on AWS, Azure, and new is Google Cloud Platform. So you see also the regions, so it's not completely available in all the regions. That's what we're doing. AWS is US and Europe. The other ones mostly are just US. But that's basically how we are building this out. So we're starting basically with one data center and then expanding it out. So you will see this over time. Hopefully, like with Azure, we're close to go GA. Don't know the day yet. But like we normally keep this first like in a certain period in beta, and then we push it into GA. What is interesting, of course, is like a lot of like, we had this multi-cloud discussion before. It's a lot of like where the customers are driving us. So it's less for the developers to say, okay, I want to have mine on Azure or at AWS. It's the customers. They're like, okay, I have a data agreement with AWS. Cloud Platform, of course, there's like SAP in the middle, but it's a lot of the customers are deciding like this needs to be on Azure because we have standardized on Azure or we have standardized on AWS. So that's definitely also like a big push what we feel from the custom environment. The other thing is you probably have seen we announced further participation and joined the Cloud Foundry Foundation about 2 years ago. We announced also at TechEd the Cloud Native. That's about the containers, Kubernetes. That's our interest, why we joined Cloud Native, to drive these standards, and Open API standard as well. The main reason why is SAP doing this is that we say it's not everything we can invent inside the walls of SAP. We really need to work with the broader community to help and shape these cloud standards together. And it's also like, it's very fast moving out there. Like now, if you look at like all the things which are coming up, like it's much better for us to really like work with these partners and contribute together onto these standards versus like building something on our own and then realized in 2 years, oh, that was like outdated and we missed the boat. So there's a lot of like things where we're looking like this is very much like for us an investment in long term, because like more people are contributing into this and more companies are contributing, which should stabilize it for us like on having a long-term solution for the developers out there. And definitely also the thing is what SAP is pushing in a lot into these standards. We saw this like with Cloud Foundry is a lot of like the enterprise aspects, like how do you scale this thing, like how do you run this in a secure environment, how you do this, like that's a lot of the contribution what SAP puts in. Next one, there was another topic, so I guess I picked the right one. It's ABAP in SAP Cloud Platform. So Björn did a very short demo where he basically took the example of ABAP using a cloud platform service. So you also see like, and I know like everybody's like coming forward, there's like also extensions now in the ABAP language like to use these services within the cloud platform. The reason why there's of course a lot of like back and forth, like why is SAP doing this? One thing, and I mentioned this in the open talk or open space conversation before, like we have about 1.2 to 1.5 million ABAP developers. That's what I know. Looking into who's looking at ABAP stuff uniquely every month. So that's kind of like the number. That's a huge number. Like it's not the developer community we can ignore. It's also like some of the big customers have a lot of ABAP folks. Yes, you could retrain them, but maybe it's also like something where we can help to get closer to evolving these things. Definitely we have a lot of experience inside SAP with ABAP. So that's another thing. And like for us, it's like also like with cloud, like in S4, we had the talk from Christian before, it's very important, like how can we make this transition to the cloud for our customers, for our partners, for our developers as smooth as possible. So this is kind of like a drill down into ABAP in the SAP Cloud Platform. And what you have seen like Björn doing, like he used, so it's ABAP development environment is Eclipse, so it's ABAP in Eclipse. We're using ABAP Git, so like you can basically pull the projects in from Git. And then you have basically in the cloud platform your ABAP runtime. And you can use all the different services from the cloud platform. But I think it's also the interesting thing, like you integrate into the different backend systems via API calls and HTTPS. So to give you a few use cases where we see this like being like the main use cases for it, like of course it's extension of S4. That's where you have the SAP Cloud Platform as a central development environment. You can use custom data in your HANA system in the same tenant, and then you connect to the SAP Cloud Platform, and this is S4 HANA Cloud. The thing is, like, also you need to remember, this is one SAP S4 HANA Cloud, and you can do these extensions as was explained before, but like in general, like SAP is updating this thing, and in frequent intervals. So like for us, it is very important this thing gets not touched too much, and that's why we're moving a lot of the development outside of S4. So that's basically the main goal. The other thing is like definitely for partner extensions. How do we do partner extensions for S4HANA? And here it's definitely also like, okay, you build it once as a partner, and then you connect it against the different S4HANA cloud systems. So the main thing is for us is like to make this as smooth as possible between these two environments, like between S4 or the backend system and the cloud platform. There's a question.
The ABAP Foundation had 2 slides before. How can I actually, what is this? Is it a slimmed down NetWeaver? Is it the ABAP integrator? Is it a Dockerized version of what is this foundation? Because it cannot be the
Yeah. So that's where you need like a Harald Cook and a Karl Kessler to explain you in the details. What I like, it is a slimmed down NetWeaver. So you have like not only the language, so there's more around than just like purely like a build pack on the language.
I have Barbies, but I don't have transactions.
So this is like stuff I wanted to bring an ABAP in the cloud system here. They said like, no, Thomas, we need to have the experts to talk about it. So hopefully that's something. This is like things like we have like, because what's happening in November, and it's like 2 slides later, we're going into the beta. That's more like a ramp up, so selected customers will get it, and then I think we will talk about more of the details.
More or less, will this be available for everybody in the how much price?
So roadmap. So we announced it. So what's starting in November, it's like we have kind of like a controlled release. So where it goes to selected customers and partners. Direction is then in 2018 to do a general availability. This is exactly where I'm working right now also with the product team, is that we get it into the SAP Cloud platform, the trial for the developers, because I think it's very important. We have to see, like, I don't have the details yet, like when this will happen, but also like then you definitely know exactly like what are the APIs which are whitelisted and so on. And then like product vision, like it's definitely like for further support. And I think the other thing is what we are working a lot on is on the programming model. How smooth is that? Like how can I take any ABAP developer who is currently on-prem and put them onto the SAP Cloud, and they are like immediately can build extension. I think that's the important thing for us to look at to make that happen. So yeah, that's a good question. So we're working with Lars. We definitely we're definitely adopting that one. It makes no sense. This like because like all open source like from processes run through my organization, and like that was like triggered in July time frame. Like okay, we need to get, and I think there is already like things. Like main thing is we want to contribute to what was already put out, and not like rip and replace. Like it makes no sense.
Will this be adopted, meaning you are you're making the clone of his repository, or will it be the same code line?
It should be the same code line. Then if you guys see any direction like cloning, no, like no. Like it's like this is exactly like there's a great project out there in open source. Let's have SAP contribute to this one, put the resources behind it to build it further out. Okay. Cool. Almost at the end. Developer programs. Also a few updates. Like for us, a big focus over the last year was on the tutorials and the learning. And I don't know how many of you looked at our tutorials already, like on developers.sap.com. Okay, so we accomplished about now 450. The big thing is I pretty much now have almost the entire SAP company behind me to contribute to tutorials. That's a big step, because I'm actually had to push people back because we are getting overrun by people putting their stuff out. The other thing is like definitely we're looking into like quality, and the other thing is what's coming up is validation. And what you see, for example, you can go back now, you see like these tutorial groups, how much I have finished them. So we're starting also to track. This is like hugely interesting for me to see like what are people adopting, how long they take at the step, so we can go back and prove these tutorials. And it's a huge learning for us also to see where we need to put more content out. So if you have someone else in the company who hasn't seen this, the other, please point them to developers.sap.com. The other thing is what I'm always very interested is if you say like, oh, for this area we need more stuff. So either let me know or let the mentors know. We happy like to build this out. The other thing what we invested on is blueprints. And that I think came also up in a few discussions before. How do I do this like in a best case? Like this is a mobile field worker blueprint. So if you go to developers.sap.com, right upper corner, you find blueprints. Like how do I set up security with the SAP Cloud Platform? So what we are doing now with the product teams is really like, okay, this is kind of like a best practice. We describe it. That thing, we pushed it live for TechEd. Huge interest right now from the community and from everybody out there. So definitely also another big thing to build out. And then also like we're engaging with the developers at the event. So we at Las Vegas, we did a hackathon and it was called Hack the Keg. It's basically we have an IoT kegerator. In Germany, kegerator is not so known. What it is a beer fridge with a beer barrel in there, beer foss, and we have IoT enabled this one. So all the data is available. And we worked together with Apple and said like, okay, can we use the iOS SDK to get this data and you build your app around it. Had about 50 developers in the room. And I think it was also interesting, like the feedback we got, it was more about getting the people together and collaborating, and like we thought like, okay, we're going for 2 hours. In the end, we went 4 hours. Keg wasn't empty, but we had a lot of fun. But this is also like stuff we're engaging on pre-announcement. We're planning this one for Barcelona. So if you're coming to Barcelona, keep your eyes open for Hack the Keg. Yeah, so from programs, we do the code jams. Like code jams, we also had a big success that I needed a bigger budget. So basically by August, we hit the amount of code jams we ran last year. So we now need to extend that one. So if someone of you might have requested a code jam, we had to push them into potentially like next year. But we're definitely like working on a lot of like, and also like the hacking events. It's also like where we see like our partners are very interested to collaborate with us on this. No, so the thing is what we're planning, I don't have all the details yet. We plan to do it in an evening. Main reason for that is over the last few years, we ran the InnoJams. But we saw that the people were like, okay, it's extending TechEd too long. It's like the weekend before, then you have TechEd, you're exhausted. And we're like, okay, let's have the same thing. Like you want to come together, you want to exchange about different things, and that's why we condensed it into like 3-4 hours in the evening, and run this probably like I don't know, like Tuesday or Wednesday, doing TechEd in Barcelona. Okay, and so we picked, yeah. So we picked from the official program the evening where there's least things happening. So whatever you planned on your side, this I cannot look into it, but like at least like we also have the way of like hopefully making it interesting for someone who's there. Okay, and with that, I hope to see you in Barcelona. If not, send us feedback. Let us know. Like definitely, it was like for me, it's also like really important to be here, listening into the conversation. I learned a lot, and I also want to thank you for spending the time doing the discussion, and yeah, and thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you very much. So I can't believe we're at the end of our program for the day. Wait, not quite so fast. So I'd like to have our slide with the sponsoring companies here, because what would an event like this be without all of the fine companies sponsoring us and helping us financially to put on an event like this and to keep it free for all participants. So a big round of applause, please, to all of our sponsors. Bridging IT. Bridging IT is our gold sponsor, coming back every year. Ecosio, Passport, Gregor is around the corner. My favorite here, Inspiricon, my new company that I work for, who also came on board. Cadaxo and Int4. SAP Mentors has also sponsored us. Progressive is a sponsor from the very start of our Stammtisch days here. CQSE, Computer Service Wolf, Sol Unity, MatchCon, Damir's company, Schmid Sys, IT Löffelholz, and then, of course, Mike Meister, applause, and Brigitte Yoga. So thank you very much to everyone. And now I'd like to invite all of the speakers up on the stage. We have a little, a little memory, a souvenir of your a reward, a souvenir, however you want to see it. And so Gregor and Martin will help, So for each of you, we have a little souvenir mug of Munich, And because we know that coffee turns into code when you give it to programmers, we have a nice supply of espresso for each of you. And and this is just a small token of our gratitude. Thank you so much. So many of you come back with great presentations every year and new ideas, and you get picked again and again because you're bringing such great information to our event here, and we really appreciate your participation and your contribution to our SITMUC. So thank you very much. Big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sure.
Okay. And on behalf of the participants, I want to thank you as the organizer team. I think you have done a very good job here. So give a hand to the organizers. And one more question to you. Would you like to have a present like this? Then hand on a talk next year to this fabulous event.
That's a great inspiration. All right. Well, thank you very much. So, and now I'd like to invite the co-organizers up on the stage, just to say a couple words. Oh, thank you. Dankeschön, danke. Yeah. To present it to each other.
Yeah, I can just say thank you to all my co-organizers. This year was really hard. I went on vacation for 1 month about. It was not only vacation, it was DSHG also. So the most task, having it really happening here, that was done by Mario.
Thank you, welcome.
Good, I continue. And doing all the hard work with the sponsors, thanks to Damir. And Martin sent out the emails when my Google account didn't let me go. and helping all with the rest of the stuff. So please talk to us if you want to help. There are a lot of tasks on an Inside Track. We can need help, and we need help for the Stammtisch too. Anyone else?
Everything.
So in the end, any event is nothing without the people who are coming. So thank you very much for you that you came here to Munich and supporting the community spirit. And yeah, see you next year, hopefully. Thank you very much. And of course, last but not least, all our sponsors, please come up. You also get some coffee and a cup to put it into. So Mike, please also come to us. And a special applause, I would say.
And yeah, one last thing about Mike's work here. Maybe those of you who gave talks, could you make a special effort to go by and photograph the part of the graphic recording that refers to your talk and go ahead and tweet it? Yeah, that would be great for Mike and for all of us as a nice review of and an association with the person who gave the talk. And thank you, Mike. You did an incredible job once again. It's fantastic. Thank you. A real highlight. Thank you. So that was it for our 5-year anniversary. Yeah, and what do you give for a 5-year anniversary? Is it paper? Is it I don't know? Maybe it's beer. Yeah. So Martin, what's the name of your group that sponsors this? Your architecture group?
ISAQB. So International Software Architecture Qualification Board.
Okay. And if you can say that again after one beer, then then you need another.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So, Ozaptus, oder? Do you say that? So, thank you. And one last announcement. We'll head over to the KVR restaurant. It's near Bonnerplatz. I think all of you who signed up for it have the address. And our reservation is at 7. They know we're coming, so if we're a little bit later, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, but we'll sit. Yes, they also. Okay, so enjoy your beer and thank you. Bye-bye.
So the underground train is a U3, die U3 Richtung. U3 Richtung Moosach. Genau. U3 in the direction of Moosach. Please mind the gap. Autofahrer, die zum KVR fahren, bitte bei der Kathi melden. Who is going by car to the KVR? Please contact Kathi.